Good morning. I hope everybody that listens is keeping well. I am outside walking and freezing. It's very cold this morning, but it's okay. I before I was, before I was leaving the house, before I left, I was listening to some information about original Buddhism and when I say original, I'm talking about the previous sectarian, interpretations of Gautama teachings. Gautama passed away, and some centuries later, some people, hoodwinked, hoodwinked, and what's the expression? Hijacked the philosophy to serve their own selfish purposes. Now, I got interested in this philosophy because I'm interested in learning the mechanics of the enemy, how they co-opt things and for what purpose, and eventually I end up learning a little bit about what the Scythian sage, known as Buddha, was talking about. Buddha is not a person, by the way. Buddha or Brahman is not a person. It's a state of illumination. It's the end of, how should I put it, a journey. At the end of a journey, like the hero's journey, you arrive at a place. It's not a topos, it's not a physical place, but, you know, conventionally speaking, you arrive at a place of illumination, you know, and that's what it's the teaching is all about. So the Buddha was a non-dualistic, teacher. Non-dualistic, very important. Here you can see, the same tendency in Plato and Aristotle. But Buddha, Gautama, the Scythian sage, he was just interpreting already existing information. You have to, this was his take on this philosophy, right? We don't know where it originates. That's the thing. In the dead language of Sanskrit and Pali, you can find, texts about, like in the five Nikayas, you can still find the original teachings in the five Nikayas, the original teachings of Gautama. And funny enough, has nothing to do with modern Buddhism. Funny enough, you see, the philosophy was hijacked, like I said, by evil, intelligent people. They hijacked it and turned it into a nihilistic victim mentality, atheistic, cosmic suicide, religion. Why did they do that? Because, people are lazy and people are into their feelings all the time, and, it's like almost like Gnosticism, seeing the world as this hellish realm in which you are, only, suffering and stuff. It's very attractive to people who are always into the feelings like hatred and envy. So it's attractive to them. Hey, it's not just that. It's being, a slave to your emotions, which is a lot of people in the world. So that's why it was hijacked. Because the sense of this philosophy is actually the opposite. The philosophy of Gautama actually teaches you about the path to the absolute, which is dissolvification or theurgy or liberation. Liberation, like I said, from this journey, you arrive at a conclusion that you are not the physical, this form that you see in the mirror. You are actually a puppeteer, and this physical self is just a puppet. Yes, and you are, experiencing this existence. You are not your feelings. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts. The true self is not your perceptions, and the true self is also not the consciousness, because consciousness is the consubstantiality between the true self and the physical. For the true self to be able to drive this, puppet, it has to modulate into a frequency, and this frequency is called consciousness. It has a beginning and an end in time, and it's not the true self. uh, what can I tell more? Yes, what they call nirvana is the end of modulation, the end of agitation, when the soul literally, loses all interest in this experience, when the soul realizes, because the soul, the true self, the Atman, or Brahman or Buddha. No, Buddha is a realization. I'm sorry. There's many names for the soul. Um, Spiritus Sanctum, Nous, I think it's in Greek. Chitta is in Pali. Let's call it the soul. And the soul kind of becomes addicted to this place. Like in that film, The Lord of the Rings. The ring is so beautiful, right? And the soul kind of becomes addicted to it and identifies with it. That's one of the, mistakes, is when the soul starts identifying with the meat sack it sees in the mirror. When that happens, the soul becomes also almost like bound to this realm and to eternal rebirth. The soul no longer knows who it is. It no longer, it loses its identity, so to speak, and it kind of reincarnates over and over again. They call this the samsara, right? I'm sure these terms, have come up here and there, especially in the New Age stuff, occultism, the Theosophical Society, paganism. You can listen, hear these terms here and there. The soul, like, analogically speaking, it's like the ring in the Lord of the Rings. It's so beautiful and everybody wants it, keeps it, and etc. And the way to actually liberate yourself is to burn the ring in the fires of unbecoming. So when you gather the courage to finally, through the process of theurgy, to realize who you are, and this process is what they call concentration. Not concentration like, thinking or how to solve a problem. No, concentration in the sense that if you, dropped a bag of marbles and they scattered all over the place, the bag of marbles is analog to the soul, and the soul is scattered all over the place. Concentration in the sense that you pick each of these marbles and bring them back. This also, could be called self-proximity. Practicing self-proximity and concentration is essential for you to not dilute yourself in this world. People start worrying about problems in the other side of the world. That's dilution. We are not meant to be, thinking about problems in the other side of the world. Technology, like the smartphone and etc., is always or has only maximized this tendency of people to dilute themselves. Dilute themselves in the obsidian mirror. Well, this technology is actually, evil. I mean, I use it for, learning, but a lot of people are addicted to the dilution. They don't really held discussions with normal people. The only way they exist is through the scrolling, and you can see it everywhere. Nobody talks to anybody anymore. Nobody plays soccer outside or climb trees or do stuff. They are, from the moment they are handed a obsidian mirror, they are glued to it, and I mean, it's very unhealthy. There's initiatives actually at the moment to ban the smartphone from schools, because once you get distracted by the ring or some comment, it will take around 20 minutes to regain your attention. So Having these devices on your pocket is distracting people, and nobody is learning anything anymore. So, um, for instance, living in a city also is dilution and constant agitation. Uh, Nirvana means the end of agitation. Agitation in that sense. Some people, go into roller coasters and they jump off planes because they think they are missing out in life if they don't. That is agitation. Yeah, living in a city, there's some cities in this world that don't go to sleep. They are constantly in agitation. Yeah, the publicity is constant agitation. They want constantly confused, and they want you entertained. They want you constantly consuming. That's agitation. Living People who live in cities actually live at least 10 to 15 years less than someone who lives, away from cities, right? Because of this agitation. Yeah, it kind of ages you a lot faster. While you are in this agitation and entertainment, the pathological control grid can take advantage of you, actually. You know, it also ties to that, which is very evil. So to practice self proximity in order to attain concentration, like, putting all the marbles back in the bag, I mean, it's obvious that you should leave cities, raise your own food because it gives you more independence. The more independent you are from the system, the more self proximity you're practicing. Because being dependent on the system, you're a slave to the system. There's terms in Buddhism about the end of slavery is also a definition of nirvana, or becoming a Buddha. You know, it's the end of this slavery, so to speak. Um, so what else can I say? So the movement was hijacked. Now they are all soul denying nihilists. It's all about emotions and victim mentality and stuff. Recently, I've heard the movement known as Buddhism actually is, taking money out of people. Like any other religions, funny religions out there and sects that capture people and then they strip everything they have. You know, it's almost like those born again Christians. They are promised salvation, and when they are in the cult, then they say, I noticed nothing has changed. Welcome to the club. You know, the, you know, uh, it's not in cult or religion that you're going to achieve anything. It's through interior work. You have to work, but it's a lonely work. It's a you don't need the help of anybody. You just have, like the Scythian sage was trying to tell people, this is inner work, shadow work, like Sigmund Freud. No, the other guy, the Swiss guy, Carl Jung, used to say you have to do your shadow work. So yeah, so I find it quite interesting, this philosophy. And so often I think about it, and sometimes I have moments of peace, of rest, when I'm reading or thinking about it. And I suppose that's the what this ontology, this philosophy was talking about. The end of modulation, the end of this constant shaking, the end. It's this place of inertia and peace. You know, you can attain these states while you are alive, unlike other religions. That you have to prepare during your life for your death. No, this philosophy is all about while you are here. It's not for the after death. No, it's something to practice while you are here. And the teachings of Gautama has nothing to do with celibacy or circumcision or hacking your organs. What's it called? Doing vasectomy. It's not anything, or becoming vegan. No, no, no. The Scythian sage was all about, live your life the most comfortably possible, have a wife, have children, but don't forget who you are, you know. Do not dilute yourself in bullshit, especially from the pathological control grid. Practice self proximity, do shadow work, yes, and understand. Don't get possessed by your feelings, because nowadays everybody's so angry all the time. They are slaves to feelings, the emotions. They are slaves to their perceptions, slaves to their thoughts. Sometimes it's not even their own thoughts, it's someone else's thoughts that was introduced by propaganda, you know. And they are diluting themselves. But the self is not those things. It's a very empowering philosophy, I would say. Very empowering. I mean, it doesn't stand a chance. Politicians don't stand a chance. If someone is really, wise about this philosophy. The Platonists also taught, something similar. Everybody, it's their own version, right? The Platonists, the Pythagoreans, they have their own, version of this, and we don't really know where the origin comes from. There's, I suppose, it was passed through, tradition orally. Nothing was written, and if it was written, it was probably forgotten. I tend to imagine sometimes that we are a species that is suffering from amnesia. You know, we suffer from amnesia because of this false identity. We identify with this false self, and then we get so diluted and stretched. Dilution and stretchment. When society, for instance, stretch themselves too much, that's when society is ready for the collapse. You can't, take the whole world on your shoulders. You can't stretch yourself that much. This dilution opens the door to demonic possession. That's what's going on in a lot of places, you know. There's people that actually, again, believe in cults like the climate change, and they are stretching themselves. They hope to save the world. They are even thinking about saving planets that they are outside, far, far away from climate change as well. This is stretching yourself too much. It's crazy. When you stretch yourself like that, you are welcoming to demon possession. So I was trying to say the Scythian sage philosophy was about the here and the now, and eventually, if you are able to wake up from this dream, from this identification with this false self, you are able to return to Brahman or Buddha, this Buddhist state, in which is perfect rest and immortality, right? Because the soul is immortal. You just return to the immortal realm. The soul is immortal either way, right? It just keeps reincarnating here, or being rebirthed here, because it's addicted to the impulses. The soul is actually addicted to this place, like Gollum was addicted to the ring. My precious. There's religions like Christianity that they spend all their life preparing for the afterlife. The Abrahamics in general, you know. And I was listening to someone talk about this site that you can buy a special underwear, because Christians think they are going to be reborn exactly as they are, in the afterlife. There's this special underwear that they can buy and wear all their lives, because if they die mysteriously and without warning, they will be equipped with these underwear, and when they are reborn in the afterlife, they won't, see each other's parts. It's really funny. Buddhism teaches the opposite. You are not this physical. You are not your emotions. You are not your thoughts, perceptions, experiences, and you are not consciousness. Try to figure that out. Some people will never figure it out. They are so entrenched in the physical. They think they will be able to, if they think hard, they will be able to find, like in mathematic equations, they will be able to find the answer. But you don't need to be that smart. It's a realization, it's a realization, and you arrive there through wisdom and through self proximity, through concentration, like concentrating, um, a lingot of gold, for instance. You're picking up the petals of gold and you just concentrate it into a lingot. That type of concentration. Uh, so yeah, so pagans also actually have tendency of doing this. Pagans are more into the wild in nature because they don't like the agitation of the pathological controlled grid. They don't like the agitation of the, you know, of the cities. When you look at people, when it's a young person, they like, party, they like hard music, right? That's agitation at the top. Just an analogy, all right? And then when you grow older, you just like calm things, and you like, classic music, and you like to, sit, underneath a tree, watching nature. That is self proximity. That is the end of agitation. You're going there. Some people go there, intuitively. I suppose if this was, more known, because the philosophy was hijacked by the nihilists, right? Now it's a cosmic suicide religion. But in the past, before that, before the sectarian, gurus, if people, had a little bit of insight of what this represents, you can also find it in Platonism. Like I said, I'm reading as well a little bit of Platonism, and often I find myself, oh, I practice this. That's how see things already. So indirectly, I'm a Platonist. Indirectly, just practice logic, facts, and wisdom, and you'll be there. You'll be there little by little. Um, and I forgot where I was going with this. Okay, I think I'm gonna shut up now. Um, have a nice day.